Okay, I have a question for you. How many diets, books, shakes, bars, eating approaches have you tried just over the last year, let's say, in an attempt to reduce your weight, get healthy, feel better, have more energy, whatever? I'm curious. Just let me know in the comments below. Tell me just one. Just one. I think it'll be interesting just to share. So if just take a second right now before we go any further here. This will be an interesting experiment to let me know in the comments below. What's just one thing you've tried in the last year? Okay, so for me, I've done them all, right? Over the years, I've done Weight Watchers, still have the keychain somewhere. I've done low carb, high protein, low fat, low sugar, vegan, keto, paleo. Like I've done every book. If you could see my bookshelf over here, you would see all the books, right? I've joined every gym, done all the workout DVDs, right? I've done it all. And I bet that you are similar. So it'll be interesting to see in the comments below what just one thing you've tried. I'll be interested. So this is what we're all doing, right? We're all searching. We're all searching for the right tools. We're searching for the right approach. How should I be eating? What is the right amount of carbs? What is the right amount of protein? Yes to fat, no to fat. Sugar is good, sugar is bad. How should I work out? Intermittent fasting, paleo, keto, right? We hear, my sister-in-law lost 20 pounds doing keto, or some celebrity lost all her baby weight in 3 weeks with intermittent fasting, right? So maybe that's what I should try. Maybe that's what I need to do. We're Googling, we're buying the books, we're doing all the things, right? We're searching for the right tools, the right approach. And the problem is that no matter how many of these tools, these different approaches we try, it never really seems to work. It never really seems to stick. We never really seem to get where we want to be, right? It maybe works for a little while, but then we go back to our old ways, to our old habits and our old patterns. And our reaction to that is like, oh, maybe it just wasn't the right tool. So maybe keto didn't work for me. I should try intermittent fasting. Maybe plant-based doesn't work for me. Maybe I need to try low carb, And this is what we're all doing. This is what I was doing for years. This is what so many of my students and clients are doing. And it just doesn't work. And to explain why this doesn't work, I want to share a little analogy with you, okay? So let's take a little trip. Let's take a little story here, a little segue. I want you to imagine that you walk into your house. Maybe your family's home, maybe you have house guests, whatever. But you walk into your house and you go upstairs, right? You see your bathroom, maybe at the top of the stairs, and you notice that there is water everywhere, water flooding the bathroom floor. It's coming out into the hallway. Maybe it's going down the stairs, like water everywhere. And you see your family or your house guests in the bathroom. You walk through the door and you're like, what's going on? And you see the bathtub, the tap is like full blast on, water just pouring out, overflowing through the bathtub, and all the water everywhere, right? And you see your family or your house guest or whoever on the floor frantically trying to mop up all this water with like what looks like every towel and paper towel and everything that you own, trying to mop up all this water, right? And you're like, what's going on? What is happening? And they're like, we don't know. Like, there's all this water. We're trying to get it. We're trying to mop it up. Do you have any more towels? Maybe your neighbor has towels. Like, are there more absorbent towels? Do you have bigger towels? Do you have a bed sheet? Something we could use? And you're kind of standing there like, okay, I get that you want towels, but why haven't you turned off the tap? Right? And they're like, oh, we didn't think about turning off the tap. We have to deal with all this water. Look at all the water. And so I tell this little analogy, this little story, because to me, this is what we're all doing when it comes to trying to change the way we're eating and trying to improve our health, lose weight, whatever it is your goals are. This is what we're doing. We are focusing on the tools. We're focusing on the towels instead of getting to the root cause, instead of really looking at what is the root cause of this situation, of my current relationship with food, my current habits and patterns around food, the reason I'm binging at night after doing really well all day, or the reason it feels so impossible to stay on track even though I've been doing really well all week, or the reason why it feels so hard to say no to those comfort foods. We imagine that more tools, more towels, in our case, more eating approaches, diets, shakes, bars, whatever, is the answer. And it's not that there's anything wrong with them. Just like towels are going to be useful if your bathtub is overflowing, of course. You know, ideas about what to eat, different approaches, all, potentially very valuable. But unless you first do the work of addressing the root cause, unless you first turn off the tap, no amount of towels is going to help you clean up that water, right? And just likewise with our relationship with food and our health, if we don't first turn off the tap, if we don't first address the root cause, no amount of diets or books or shakes or bars or protein powders are really going to help, because they're just not addressing what's really going on. And so that's why, obviously, I wrote a book called Turning Off the Tap, Overcoming the Real Reasons We Overeat, as many of you know. But so obviously, I feel this analogy very passionately. But this is why our focus needs to be not so much on the food itself, right? People always joke that I'm the nutritionist who never talks about food. And it's because I really think that, yes, of course, I'm a nutritionist. I'm passionate about eating healthy food and focusing on what we're eating and making good choices. To me, though, that stuff is reasonably easy, right? We have lots of information about that. If you Google quick and healthy recipes on Google, you're going to get 10 million hits. We don't need any more of those tools. They're useful, but that's not what we need to focus on. Instead, we need to turn our attention to focusing on turning off the tap, on addressing what's really going on with us. What's the root cause of these old habits and patterns? It's not a lack of willpower. It's not that you don't have the motivation. It's not that you're not committed enough. It's that there's deeper stuff going on. There's deeper reasons why we're turning to food to manage feelings, why we're using food as a sort of form of self-care at the end of a long, stressful day, why we're using food as a way to, avoid and numb uncomfortable feelings, why we have old habits around food that feel so hard to break, even when a big part of us wants to make better choices. This is where we need to be putting our focus, right? So I encourage you just to see if you can just kind of start to think more in that direction. Instead of focusing so much on the food and the carbs and the sugar and the protein and all of that, see if you can see what happens when you instead spend a little bit more time just getting curious, really just asking questions about, like, how am I hoping this food is going to make me feel, right? Why does this food right now feel so important? Why do I need it so badly? What would happen if I didn't eat it? It's not that there's right or wrong answers to these questions, but there is an opportunity for curiosity here that is going to help you get much closer to that root cause, to turning off that tap, right? This is the work that I do in the book, in my Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program, in my Consistency Club membership. This is really what we focus on, right? Really changing the underlying reasons, the old habits and patterns, what I call your old operating system, right? You literally have wiring and programming in your brain that has come from years of your relationship with food, of what you learned as a kid, of what you saw modeled, of what's worked for you in terms of using food as a coping mechanism. And it's that old operating system that we need to focus on reprogramming and rewiring first, right? Before we start trying to accumulate more towels. And by that, I mean accumulating more tools like recipes and meal plans and, low carb, high protein, all the things. Again, nothing against any of those. They can all be great and useful tools. Just like towels are going to be useful if your bathtub is overflowing. But none of them are really going to work for you long term unless you first turn off the tap, unless you first do that deeper work of addressing what's really going on with you. What is really going on at the deepest root of your relationship with food, your history with food, the way you use food, the role that food plays in your life, that's where we have to start, right? So that's why, again, people joke that I'm the nutritionist that never talks about food, and it's true. I really don't talk about food. I talk about the deeper work. What's the root cause? What's the tap, right, in your relationship with food? So I just invite you to start thinking about that. Just I hope that this, just maybe has a little light bulb for you, and the next time you find yourself heading towards that nighttime binge, or feeling like you can't say no to a certain comfort food, just take it as an opportunity for some curiosity about what might be going on deeper. Okay? All right. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you guys soon.